How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, do me a huge favor, go down and subscribe. Today I got quite the interesting video for you comparing two of my cars that are kind of similar in many ways, but also very different. And that is going to be these two cars right here, a 1990 and a Mazda Miata and a 2000 BMW M Roadster. I mean, they're very similar because both of them are two-door roadsters, two-door convertible cars. But before we get into this video, I do want to say one thing. We're going back to daily uploads. I posted a poll a couple days ago. You guys voted every other day I should post a short and every other day I should post one of these videos, going back to daily videos and daily uploads until I hit 100,000 subscribers. The goal is by the end of summer. We need 10K this month, 10K next month, and we should be able to hit our goal. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you do subscribe because we're getting pretty close to that 100,000 mark, and I never really expected to get here so soon, but since we're pushing for that, I think we need to start uploading more. But let's get into these two cars, compare and contrast the Mazda Miata and the 2000 BMW M Roadster. So before we get into anything, let's talk about the price, because the prices are going to affect a lot of things. Obviously, this car is much more expensive than the Miata. A normal Z3 you can probably get under $10,000, which would compare a little bit better to the Mazda Miata, but the Z3M is upwards into the $15,000 to $20,000 range at this point. In that $20,000 to $15,000 range, it's a little bit more expensive than a normal Z because it has that limited production, the higher horsepower output engine. In this condition with about 115,000 miles, I would say this car is anywhere between $7,000 to $8,000 in this current market. This car is about 15 to 20 in this current condition, in this current market, with 85,000 miles and no mechanical issues for the most part on either of these cars. This car needs a little bit of repair work, but let's just say I fix it, which I'm going to in the very near future. Let's get into what the cars are made of, what the cars are for, and why this car is so much more expensive than that car, and whether you should spend the extra money in order to get this car. So let's pop the hood on both the cars. Miata, you got the little inline 4. You got the Miata all propped up. Come over to this car right here and open it up. Of course, this one doesn't need prop rod because it has hood struts in it, because it has that additional factor of being the M inline 6 S52 in this specific model. They did release it with an S54 in later years. This car makes 116 horsepower. Not very fast, not very quick. This car makes nearly 300 horsepower out of this motor, which is crazy to think about the power difference between these two. Tons of aftermarket support. A bunch of people have done so many modifications to these cars, whether it's a track build, stance build, a drift build. Whatever you really want to do with this little car, you can do. Compared to this car, it's more of a collector piece. It's much more harder to find, and realistically, you're not gonna see a lot of people modify these. They do have supercharger kits that they made at the time. There's a couple of them with the supercharger kits, but I would say a very big majority of these cars are left basically stock. There's only 3,200 of these made for the North American market, and about 5,500 of these made for the entire world. There's over 500,000 Miatas made. This car weighs about 2,100 pounds, 2,100 pounds. This car weighs an additional 1,000 pounds. It weighs 3,100 pounds, which around the corners really makes a difference and makes the Miata shine a little bit more. Let's take a step into the interiors of the car, talk about what they're made of and how they drive. So with the BMW, you have all the M trims, you got M on the floor mats, you got all the cool stuff on the interior that, you know, the Miata really doesn't have. You've got a 5-speed manual transmission as standard, and the only option you can get with the M Roadster. You also have a power top, heated seats, air conditioning. You have a very nice interior. You got leather seats on the inside here. You have basically leather everywhere you look in this car, and it's a very premium interior. So take a step into the Miata's interior. I have it slightly taken apart. There's usually a center console here for the people who watch my channel. No, I've been trying to work on this car, but taking a step into the interior of the Miata, you got crank windows. There's usually a door handle here my car doesn't have. You know, very flimsy plastics. You have kind of just a plasticky interior, not really premium on the inside compared to the BMW. But of course, this car is a lot cheaper than that car is. The BMW's interior is on a completely different league than this. There's no heated seats, there's no leather seats, and all the blah 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 nonsense that the BMW has. This car has cloth seats, which I prefer to the leather on hot days. The cloth is a little bit more breathable, you sweat a lot less, and you're not as hot and sticky in the cloth as you are in the leather seats. We got a 5-speed manual transmission just like the BMW. This car was optioned with an automatic. Of course, the normal Z3s also did come in an auto option. Which car should you choose? Well, I guess it kind of comes down to what you're looking for. Let's go put a GoPro in both of them and go take them off for a little drive. But let's go out first in the Miata and hope my belt isn't gonna squeak the entire time. But what would be a circumstance you would want to buy this car? Well, if you're looking for a very cheap, affordable, kind of convertible car, the Miata would be a pretty good choice for you. You're looking under $10,000 in today's market. You're not finding much other than a Miata. But the thing to keep in mind with the Miata is it's an old car, as is the M Roadster. They're both old cars and things are gonna need to be replaced, need to be changed. This car is gonna rattle a little bit. It's gonna be very loud on the inside, as you guys can hear. I do have the center console taken apart, which it does add a lot of noise. I'm working on trying to get this car 100% dialed in for the summer, and hopefully by the end of the weekend I should have it there. But a case you'd want to buy the Miata in is you want some good gas mileage in a car. You want a fun car, but you can also take it on the track possibly. A little bit of a weekend fun car. I think the Miata is perfect for that. One of the many reasons I bought a Miata is because this thing does 30 miles to the gallon. It's fun. I can take it on the track, I can modify it and not really have too much care about me ruining the car compared to the BMW. I've always wanted to take the BMW out on the track, but I gotta put a roll bar on it, which involves me doing a lot of things I don't want to do to that car. With a Miata, I can take this on a track and I can make it a track car, I can make it a drift car, I can make it a stance car, I could leave it stock and just enjoy it as it is. It's a very affordable, cheap sports car that I think if that's something you're looking for, it's the perfect car. If you're looking into getting into cars and you want your first project car, this car is perfect because it's really easy to work on. There's not too many things that go wrong. You're going to be doing a lot of maintenance items yourself, but for the most part you should be able to do a lot of the things, kind of learn with the car. And I honestly think that it's a great car, and especially for the price, there's a reason why these cars have appreciated so much. Let's hop into the BMW and talk about why you'd want to buy that car over this car though. I'm already hot and sticky sitting inside this leather. Let's put the top up, put the windows up, automatic top. You know, you're sitting much higher in this car. That car might be lowered a little bit because it does have coils on it from the last owner, but this car is very comfortable to sit in compared to that car, and you'll realize how much more quiet this car is, even while it's blowing air conditioning, than the Miata is. Obviously, both of them are manual transmissions, which is something you need in a car like this. I don't understand why you would want to buy a Miata, even the Z3 in an automatic. The automatics are garbage in the Miatas. What's the reason you would pick this over the Miata? Well, let's be real. This car is much more quiet. This car is, you know, silent on the inside. We're cruising, going around turns, corners. In the Miata, I was yelling over the car. Given I did have the center console taken apart, so it'd be a little quieter, but that's an acceleration with this car compared to the Miata. That car, it has a lot of noise, it has a lot of road noise on the inside. Even this car has a soft top, but it's very quiet in here, which the Miata isn't. The Miata is much more raw than this car is. You hear a lot of things in the Miata. You don't really hear much in this car. You hear the exhaust going, but you don't hear the suspension clunking, you don't hear the transmission whining or whirring, you don't hear anything. You hear the motor and the exhaust. Obviously, when we, let's say, lower the top or lower the window a little bit, you hear that exhaust note a little bit more, as you would in the Miata as well. But in that car, you get additional noises. You get The transmission is a big one. You hear the transmission a lot in that car. You also hear the interior bits, the interior plastics moving around. Well, in this car, it's however many years old, and there's not a single crack in the dash. There's nothing. So if you're looking for something a little bit more luxurious, convertible, still fun, and lots of power, this is something you would probably buy over the Miata if you had that little bit of cash. This car gets about 20 miles to the gallon, 25 maybe. It's not better than the Miata. The Miata is better gas miles than this car. The Miata is easier to work on than this car is. The Miata is going to be cheaper to work on than this car is, or cheaper to get work done to. So it has those things. This car is more prone to having an issue compared to having something break due to age. This car is most likely a bit more needy because it does have a lot more power and a lot more everything than the Miata does. It's more likely to have something break in this car compared to the Miata, and that's something you got to be ready for and ready to sacrifice more than just the money, but also you're going to be spending a little bit of an extra cent or two here and there to maintain the car than you would in the Miata, if that makes a little bit of sense. But that is all I have for this video. If I only had to pick one of the two cars, which car would I pick? I would have a hard choice between the two, but because I've owned the BMW for longer and because it is a more expensive car, I would take this car. The Miata is an awesome car. I can't wait to take it on the track and keep building it, fix it up, and all of that. The BMW is just, there's nothing quite like this. I will say this is one of the best roadsters that has ever been made from an OEM perspective. You know, the Miata is a great car to modify, have fun with. It's a very inexpensive car. But the BMW is perfect as it is, nearly. Sure, there's a couple of things. I wish I had a 6-speed. You know, you could wish for an extra 100 horsepower, but honestly, this car is such a great package that I'd have a hard time replacing it if I did sell it. The only thing I could really see myself replacing it with would be an M3. I like my hardtop coupes better, even though I own two Roadsters, which is kind of funny. But we're back to daily uploads. We're back to making a video every single day until we hit 100,000 subscribers. After we hit 100K, there's a couple things that I want to do. I'll show you guys and do those things when we hit the goal. But first, we got to get there. So make sure to subscribe, leave a like on this video, comment what videos you want me to see. If you want me to actually race these two, we can make it happen. But that's all I have for this one. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Also, forgot to mention the completely best part of the Miata. It's got flip-up lights, bro. I think that's an automatic win over the BMW right there. The lights don't work, but I mean, you get the point.